Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Circle, Season 4 on Netflix, U.S. version of The Circle podcast.
Damn.
We are Rob as a podcast, and I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I have a circle of people here to talk through this week's batch of 4 episodes on The Circle. It's the third batch of 4 episodes. It's the final batch of episodes without the finale included in them. So many caveats here to the Circle podcast, but we are going to talk through it all. And with me this week to talk about the Circle is David. How are you doing, David?
Good. I got the blue check shirt just for Alex / Nathan.
Are you the true? Are you are you playing Nathan for this podcast?
I am. Well, I can't even remember what it was.
David, what's an eagle?
Oh, that was easy. I mean, that one was easy. Even I knew that one. But obviously that proves he is who he says he is.
I mean, yeah, it passes my check.
Yeah.
Clearly, we've got Nathan on the podcast. Yeah. All right. Also with us this week is Aysha. How you doing, Aysha?
Hey, Taran. I'm doing well. I have my animal stuff near me. I got a suitcase full of clothes just in case, in the middle of the podcast, you want us to run and go get some stuff. I'm ready. I'm winning.
I'm not doing it. You're going to win.
Yeah, do you think Baby Yoda counts as an animal if I grabbed Baby Yoda?
I think so.
What sound does Baby Yoda make? Like,
oh, hold on.
That was spot on.
I got one too. So.
Hey!
Me and Lovina lose. So.
Oh, I'm not moving. You think I'm moving?
That was as far as I could move.
All right. Of course, also with us here is Lovina. How you doing, Lovina?
I'm doing great. You know what? Every time I say I hate the Circle, I'm not watching this show anymore, it sucks me back in. And I should say the something I didn't want to address immediately is I know one of the castmates, and that is actually Alex / Nathan. I played some online reality games with him in 2020, and I don't know if I played with him specifically. I definitely know him through the grapevine kind of thing, but I definitely am. I would consider to be friends with him. Great guy, and I'm good friends with his girlfriend. I play with his girlfriend, Nikki. So it's really exciting. And that's another big reason why I was like, I'm not missing this season. I want to see how Alex does, because I know, the guy's a game bot, and I think he's proven to be so. And nothing surprising here. I'm excited.
Do we know what the reaction is to the sexting on the Circle?
Nothing. I haven't talked to them personally, besides like the congratulations or anything like that. But I'm hoping that it was fast forwarded past the way that I was pressing. You know how you can press, I think it's plus 15 seconds or something. I was like, you know what, let me just get past this. It's all good.
Just like when John was it John playing Mama Carol would have to fast forward when watching with his parents.
Guys, listen, I can't there's a good portion I'll probably get to it. There's good portions of this show that I'm like, I can skip this. And that's what I'm doing now. So
I mean, the show does move slow. I mean, for those 4 hours seemed like twice as much. Yeah.
It's true.
Yes. Well, we opened up with the conclusion to the cliffhanger from the previous week. And I felt last week that it was an obvious choice for Brew that he would pick to save Alyssa, and then didn't happen. But I also said, here's the thing, even if they come back and it's the big shocker result, I'm just going to be like, oh, which is exactly what happened, because there was way too much time in between. Like, if that had happened at the end of the episode and that had been the cliffhanger, it would have been way better for me. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, and then I choose to block Alyssa. I'd be like, what? And then it'll be like, and then find out the ramifications in the next week's. I'd be like, whoa. But instead I was like, well, probably Carol, right? And then I don't care. Oh, it was Alyssa. Look at that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the blockings are not the blockings, but the cliffhangers are too predictable now. Like, I just know, okay, leading up to the episode, okay, they're leading up to a blocking, we're not going to see the blocking. Or they're leading up to someone going, okay, we're not going to see that because it's just going to be a cliffhanger. It would be more surprising if they showed us Why
Well,
not do that?
That's kind of how I felt at the on the final episode of Dispatch, where it was like the person lowest will be blocked, and then I was like, it'll probably cliffhanger before they reveal it, and then they revealed it, and they're like, now they're gonna go visit somebody, and I was like, it'll probably cliffhanger before they do that, and then it's like, no, and then they visited, and this now is the next person is gonna be a super influencer. I was like, it felt like the end of the Lord of the Rings. I was like, it just kept going a lot longer than I thought it would.
Can I also just say that little portion of the episode, for me, that's the fastest the show has ever moved in 4 seasons. I was like, I don't have to press 15 seconds plus. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, they were actually moving along, doing things instead of having very long conversations that didn't go anywhere. And I mean, I reskimmed because I watched them Wednesday morning, and then I reskimmed just before, and it was amazing how much I could fast forward through. It was like fast forward, 10 minutes go by. Oh, they're on the same conversation between the same two people. Okay, I can, keep going through that. And so, yeah, as far as the cliffhanger, Taran, I did feel he was going to keep Carol, just because how many times did we hear him say how much he trusted her? Her, I don't know, Carol. So, but yeah, like you said, at the end, it was kind of like, okay, especially since, Carol didn't last much longer anyway.
Yeah. So we lost Alyssa, who, man, Yu Ling didn't choose to save Alyssa. Brood, that was not the best throuple. You know what? Reality TV throuples are dangerous. I think that's what we've learned over the last couple of years. Don't trust your throuple. It's no good.
Yeah.
So Brew takes out Alyssa, and then Alyssa goes to see Brew, and it was very, very awkward, as it usually is. And we had another instance of like person blocks another person, they go see that person, and they're like, hey.
Yeah, I'm wondering, when is it ever going to be a situation where they're actually so upset and they're going to ask, like, why the hell did you do that to me? Can you explain why, instead of just kind of like, and I think she walked out the door saying, oh, he was so hot.
Yeah.
Girl, like, that's not what we want to see. We want to see you lay into him. You were robbed. Come on. But I guess, she was more upset with Yu Ling for some reason. So I guess, I should have expected it, but.
Yeah, and that threw me for a loop too, because I know Brew from TikTok. So I don't know him like Alex, but I know Brew. I've been following him for like over a year. So I feel like I know him. And I knew Krissa too. She does really cool basketball tricks on TikTok and Instagram. So with Brew, he has a very public relationship right now. And so I was with Anna Sitar. And so I was like, wait, why hasn't he mentioned Anna yet? But I guess with the timing, he wasn't with Anna yet when they started filming the show.
Yeah, they filmed this. I did some math, and they filmed it during the Chicago Marathon, which was in October.
Okay.
And I know that because that's why Alex was wearing the Chicago shirt. Because I asked on Twitter, you're from here and you live here, and neither of those two places is Chicago. So why are you wearing a Chicago shirt? And he said it was to support his girlfriend, who was running the Chicago Marathon at that time.
There you go. Okay.
When was
that? It's run in October, early October of every year.
Okay. Yeah, I think Brew and Anna, they started their relationship maybe in November.
Okay.
Like, but either way, I thought it was very interesting because I thought that, I wanted to see like what you're talking about, Lovina. Like, I wanted to see Alyssa go see Yu Ling, the person she's most mad at, and like, why did you do that? Because it was her fault. Yeah.
Do people just not want to end on a bad note? Like, you just, don't want to show up at their place and get into a big argument? Like, you just want to leave on a happy note, and that's why it almost always ends up that way?
I think so. I think that and to a degree, rightfully so. I think that like if Alyssa goes and like, reams out Yu Ling, then there's probably an unhealthy amount of people on the internet that are gonna, be like, oh, she's a terrible person and like typical Alyssa, whatever, like you know what I mean. And so is sometimes you don't want that to happen to you, and I think that's understandable. And some people just aren't very confrontational to begin with. Like, it's one thing to be like, I'm so mad when you've got your own space and your own apartment, but it's another thing to go meet the person face to face and still be like, screw you.
Yeah.
It's just like if we were to meet like Twitter trolls, they'd be like, whoa, I didn't say anything. What are you talking about?
And they're saying way worse things than anyone could say in the circle.
That's
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, I can't wait to get home so I can write about this person.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yes, and so how do we feel about this though? Because Brew really does. I mean, his explanation is essentially like, hey, Yu Ling threw the first stone, it threw me off. So I just, the Carol. Well, I don't. Well, it wasn't really my fault. It was really Yu Ling's fault if you think about it. Which, to a degree, right? If Yu Ling picks Alyssa or Brew, then then what? Does Brew still pick Carol over Alyssa, or does Brew pick Alyssa over Carol? Right? Because like that's the real question. It's sort of what he's implying, but if he knows that Carol's in a lot of danger, he still feels like I should maybe pick Carol, and then who knows what happens with Alyssa at that point. Then it may result in the same situation. So I don't know if I really buy this. At the end of the day, he picked Carol over Alyssa, and that's sort of what it came down to. And at the end of the day, Yu Ling picked Rachel over Alyssa. That's just, they both picked one other person over Alyssa. I don't really know what one's better than the other.
Yeah, I mean, I do tend to think there more blame lies with Yu Ling, just because her reasoning was like, well, I think that Frank would want me to do this, and I want to do it, and I think that Rachel will somehow magically know what I want her to do. And so instead of saving your own ally, you're saving someone else who I guess is still an ally, but not as much of one.
I think her explanation was essentially that she felt like if she didn't save Rachel there, then Rachel would be the one out, right? Because nobody else would save Rachel. And so she had to save Rachel and then hope that somebody else would save Alyssa.
And then, but then to Brew and Alyssa, it's like, okay, but what about us? If you didn't save us, one of us were going to be gone. So it's like, I didn't see her, like, I get why she did it for, like, she wanted to be more loyal to Frank. Okay, that's fair. But then she can't expect for Brew and Alyssa not to be upset because they thought, okay, we're the throuple. You're going to save one of us. You have two options right now, right? You say one of us and then you throw a curveball and say Rachel. Okay, if I'm Brew, I'm like, okay, what just happened? Because of course he was thrown. Of course he was like, well, what was this even that I thought I was aligned with? Let me do my own thing now. Like, do I want to keep Alyssa? And then that's not real. And Yu Ling already has her own things going on when I can keep Carol, who I feel like, okay, I have a strong bond with Carol. So I got Brew's decision. And I could see why Alyssa was mad, because that was the starting point for Alyssa not staying, was Yu Ling not picking Alyssa or Brew.
Yeah, definitely. I think that obviously Brew is the last person who was the option to save her, clearly. So I think if I was a person who was acting on emotion, which if I were in this game, trust me, I would do. I would be like, Brew, seriously, I'd be like, Brew, why did you not save me immediately? And then I would go back and think about it, but hey, maybe that's just me. But yeah, definitely, I was going to say just what Aysha said. I think that Yu Ling picking Rachel sends a very clear message that I'm playing at least to them, I'm playing my own game right now. And so Brew was like, you know what, then I'm going to play my own game. I have a better bond with Carol. So that was the first thing I thought of. I can understand, but for me, I don't know, I feel like Brew could have picked her too. So I just don't get why she's only mad at one rather than both. That's just me.
Well,
I
think the next,
I was just gonna say he's cute. He's so.
She said it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, I think the next question is that, like, was this the right call for Brew picking Carol? I mean, I think on one hand, yeah, now there's one person in the game that is like just straight up loyal to Brew, right? But at the same time, it's very public, and everybody knows that there's one person in the game that's straight up loyal to Brew, and Brew primarily, and nobody else really likes this person, and everyone thinks they're a catfish. So how valuable are they? And I think that we are going to see not that valuable. It's not going to work out too well for either of them moving forward. Whereas Alyssa, who was pretty popular, if he saves Alyssa, maybe things play out a little differently for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking too. I did think, as I said, that he would keep Carol, but I also thought it was a mistake because he, like you said, he had to know lots of people didn't particularly, I wouldn't say didn't like Carol, but didn't, consider her very high up there and thought she was a catfish. And even though he didn't care that she was a catfish, other people do. And so why would you link yourself so publicly, like you said? And you're just going to get dragged down. You're not going to, get supported.
Yeah, I think that another big thing too is I also want to say I'm remaining as objective as possible. But I do want to say that I think that more people need to view this game. I get it. It's a Netflix show. It's a Netflix reality show. It's a little cartoony. I know. I'm the first person who's going to say that. They're still making them hashtag for crying out loud. But I do think that people
Are they making
should
them?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that that's how they talk. I really don't believe that, Taran. But yeah.
Hashtag, I don't think so.
No one talks like that. And plus, it's not a real clickable hashtag. We've covered this in the past. For sure. I do think that people should look at this game the way that Nathan, I'm sure we're going to get to Nathan/Alex, noticed that, well, I don't think that Brew is going to help me move forward better in this game over somebody like Frank, who is clearly getting ranked higher. I think that there would be a bigger potential in the case of Brew saving Alyssa, that she would rank higher than Carol, because Carol was ranking low. She was going way down. So I think that if he had looked at this more strategically, then he could have saved Alyssa, who had the potential to rank higher in the future and help him as well, because she had his back. So I think it's rare for people to look at the game that way in this show. But again, I want to keep my expectations low for a Netflix reality show.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say in addition to that, and I'm always sort of beating this drum, granted the finale, the way that it works is very random to begin with, but I'm always wary of the players that everyone dislikes going into the final rankings or ratings, because if I'm bringing Carol to the final 5 and everybody knows that nobody likes Carol and Carol's been at the bottom for a long time, anybody rating strategically is going to go, all right, Carol number 1. And then out of nowhere, Carol might clinch the whole thing. On top of that, Carol has been, is a catfish and known to be somewhat strategic in the game. Both of those things, I think, lend toward more strategic voting in the finals, meaning Brew can't even count on a Carol number 1 position from Carol in that final rating. I don't think he could have counted on Alyssa for it either. I think Alyssa was also a very strategic player. But at least Alyssa appears to be a big threat, and I think fewer people would put Alyssa at number 1 if they were thinking strategically. So, it was an interesting call, but I don't know that it was the right one. Yeah,
I was kind of sad to see Alyssa go. I enjoyed her. I felt like she was fun, and so I was like, oh dang. I mean, Carol's nice too. John's nice to look at. So it was like, okay, that's cool. But it just felt inevitable that, Carol's days were numbered.
Yes. So with Alyssa gone, we've got some fallout from the decision, from the safety chain or the antivirus. And Carol even gets into it with Yu Ling. I always find this interesting that what does Carol have to do with Yu Ling? Why is Carol coming in on Yu Ling?
Well, also, why would you even make that move when you're getting ranked really low in these rankings? Why would you call somebody out that is pretty popular? And why I just don't understand that.
I think probably the idea is I'm happy that Yu Ling's in trouble for this. Oh no, nobody's really mad at Yu Ling publicly. guys, aren't you mad at Yu Ling? Look at what Yu Ling did. I think it's pretty messed up, everyone. And I think that's sort of the instinct, but I think that backfires so much. Like, you can't, like, you have to let people, you can't publicly stoke people's anger in that way. People will see through it, and then it becomes a you and Yu Ling thing as opposed to a them and Yu Ling thing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of that, and then, you know, things do slow down for a bit after that, right? Like, we don't get the next blocking until what, like the 3rd episode or something like that, and so it's like the 3rd episode, and then, like, you know, theoretically 2 more blockings after that, and so we just kind of hang out. This it doesn't seem like there's too much. It really feels like, I will say, so we're getting to know the 2 new players, Imani, aka Trevor, and Everson. I like them both a lot. I think that Everson has like such a great like energy to him. I'm really happy that he's survived this long. He's really fun, and Trevor is very good as a catfish. Like, he is like, he came in, he knew from his wife, like, how to pull it off as a catfish. And I feel like he's crushing it. I feel like he's a contender to win this thing. I feel like Trevor might, I mean, could you imagine, husband and wife, king and queen of the circle?
And he gets 50,000 more.
Yeah. I mean, that's gonna be the thing, right? Like, hey, you thought you were the breadwinner, but 50% more from me here.
I also do think that her first name was Delisa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I do think that of the American seasons that I've watched, I do think that she's our best winner. So it would be incredible. It's like the first family of the Circle US if he won. I think that they've earned that title already as stands. But yeah, I do agree. None of them, like every single catfish that we've had this season, there's been some sort of sniffing out of like, okay, this person's probably not this person. But they haven't even, I get it that, you know, obviously Trevor came in pretty late. And that's another complaint that I have on its own. I feel like we can't really get to know these people as much as the others for obvious reasons. But yeah, I do think that they haven't even sniffed him out for a second. And I think that is very telling.
Yeah, I love Trevor in the Circle. I mean, you can tell, like, he's been studying. Like, Delisa made sure that he was trained up to do well in the Circle. Like, he knows what he's doing. Why has he not been there since the beginning? Like, this would have been gold to have him there the whole time. Like, I feel like he would be so well insulated. He would be just as liked as Frank. Everybody's girl would be Imani. Like, he has made such strong relationships so quickly that I think that it would have been so entertaining to watch. I understand that the Spice Girls were an amazing get. Trust me, when I was a child, I loved me some Scary Spice. I love Spice Girls. So it was exciting to see, but not for the first 4 episodes. You know, like that was literally the focus at the beginning. But imagine if Trevor was there as Imani, you had the Spice Girls, let that be a focus for 1 to 2 episodes tops. Then it's like, okay, wow, like we could really see his game blossom throughout. But so that, yeah, I have a bone to pick with them about that. But then with Everson, I've been on cruises and cruise directors are a lot. And I first impression, I said, oh my gosh, he's going to be a lot. Like he's the type of cruise director you might want to avoid because like he knows your name. He meets you once and he's going to say your name.
Like,
but
can I just go eat, please?
I can't. But he has grown on me. I do really like Everson. It's just kind of like his joy is very infectious. And so I'm really enjoying him now. So it just took me like an episode to get used to him.
Yeah, I think that he's helped by the fact that it's all through the computer screen. Yeah. So he can't overwhelm. You know, you can get the parts of his personality and he can play the games and everything else, but he doesn't do exactly what you were saying about being too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing some feedback. The Circle audio. I apologize. We've had some feedback the last couple episodes. I'm not sure who it's coming from, but yeah, I'm also not sure what it is. Not Aysha. Not
Okay.
David. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's Lovina.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It sounds
is it
like
my
it sounds
fan?
like weird tones. Like
It sounds like kind of a vague echo.
Like,
there-
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
just barely echoing.
Did it stop?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
did.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was my fan. It's okay. I'll just feel
Yeah,
extremely warm.
Hopefully Lovina won't pass out over there.
No, you're fine.
So yeah, we get the two of them, and it's very fun for me watching. It's weird because I feel like I know Trevor more as Trevor than Imani, because I feel like I heard more about Trevor in his first in the first playthrough with Delisa than I have about Imani in this playthrough. So I'm actually I'm hearing the noise again. Maybe it wasn't
it's not
the
your fan. You can turn your fan back on.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know. It might be sometimes the headphones are loud enough that it like bleeds into the mic, but I don't know. It's a weird noise.
Yeah, it's
weird. Okay.
Or if you have like a a roommate playing loud music or something.
Yeah, it could be like
almost what it sounds like.
Music somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, I might know what it is.
We promise we won't rank you low just because of this.
Yeah.
We swear. We
Okay.
swear.
Okay, as long as it's not like super overbearing.
Guys,
then.
I'm moving her on the board. I'm moving her from here down to here. So.
I can just mute in between.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so it's very fun for me watching. I love how much fun Trevor is having flirting as a woman with Everson. He's like, oh, this is so much fun. Like, do we obviously it's working on Everson, but we're looking from the outside in. How do we feel like he's doing it? Aysha, you're watching Trevor flirting as a woman. Do you think this is how a woman flirts?
I do. I think that especially a woman who is like super confident, she knows that that person is interested in her, so she can go all in. It's one thing when you don't know and you're just like, I'm kind of feeling it out. No, he's just going for it because he knows that he knows that, a guy like him could be attractive to someone like Imani. And I think because he is a guy, he knows what a guy wants to hear. So it's just this perfect scenario where, he's flirting with a woman and she's saying exactly what he wants to hear. He's just getting to say that now, and it's working.
Yes. And I love the contrast, right? Because we see Trevor really enjoying the flirtatiousness with Everson, and then on the flip side of that, we see Alex just dying, flirting with Yuling, like, oh no, like, oh, she's sending me a picture. Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair, that flirting was way more intense.
Oh yeah,
than,
it was, yeah.
Yes.
The latter. Like that was like, I was like, okay, Netflix, like I get it. You guys are raunchy. We got some F-bombs. They're not blurring anything out, but damn, that was really surprising.
I mean, I think Trevor would have loved it if Everson sent him a pic. I feel like he would have been like, oh, here we go. Let me send one back. This is so much fun. I really, because I was like, I did appreciate Alex's response as well, because I was reacting the same way, like we were reacting together to what was happening on the screen.
Yeah.
All of us.
You were doing this too?
Yeah, and then she wears the outfit the next day.
Yes.
Yeah. She didn't pack very many things. Let's just say that. She's like, guess I'll wear this today,
It's so weird because we never even saw her be like, hey, guess what I'm wearing today? Like, she never addressed it at all. She was just wearing it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully in some other side chat that we didn't see,
Yeah. I will say I too, like you, Ling, was surprised at the Nathan pictures. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the same person?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm confused. Why did he pick that as his profile? Like, Alex, let me know. Like, why did you pick that as your profile picture? Because it's definitely not the same person. The guy that he chose for his profile picture just looks like a TikTok kid who's trying to get viral. And then the other ones, I'm like, okay, totally get it. Like it comes up as a
Sculpted
like a
from
freshman
stone.
Yeah. So I'm like, if you're going for that second version of Nathan, go with these photos. I want to know. Let me know if you're watching.
I think he was going for the first version, but when she started sending him pics, he was like, oh, I got to find, something really good too. And so I don't think he necessarily wanted to be that to be the out front picture. Just like I keep all my 6-pack ab pictures to myself, and I, same exact thing.
Can't be braggadocious.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think it brings me back to like, was this Alex's first choice of a catfish to begin with, right? Like maybe it was kind of like, I don't love having to be a 22-year-old kid, and now I'm like this massive hunk, but like let's nerd him up just a little bit, not the biggest bro in the world, so that I'm not going to get caught immediately.
Well, I originally thought that he was going to catfish as his girlfriend, Nikki. I was like, that would be really fun to see, not just because I know both of them, but because I feel like, Nikki's like a beautiful, beautiful woman. And I feel like he knows her really well. But then there's also, Trevor's playing his wife, and they already have an archetype ready to go. So, or not archetype, duo, I guess, catfish duo ready to go.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason, but
I mean, they did start the game with 2 people playing their parents, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I forget about Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a distant memory.
Yeah.
It really, like,
Parker lasted so long there.
Yeah, Parker / Paul really got screwed. They were she was out in like the second episode, and then like everybody else was in until like episode 7. Like,
I mean, to be fair, the minute she showed up on the screen, not to go back to those first 4 episodes, but you might as well.
She needed an experience for her memoir. All right.
Yes.
No joke. Whenever Nathan in the later episodes were like, "Oh, Frank, Brew told me that you, him, and Paul," I was like, "Paul."
Right?
What?
I have the
Like Pop and
exact
Paul?
same thought.
Yeah. It's like, what?
When did Paul Jackson come on the show? So let's see, what else did we have here for these episodes. We did get the game that they played with the pictures, classic game, draw or paint, one of those two, a picture of the other players, and we get the nasty ones and the nice ones. I've said, I think, like, strategically, if you're really trying to be strategic, you draw a nice one that's obviously you, to just kind of like take yourself out of the pool of being suspected of because that's more dangerous than anything else. Like, let alone, it's not about like, did you get caught making a mean photo yourself? It's, are you going to be suspected as having made a mean picture of somebody else that you didn't even make? And if you take yourself off the suspect list by making one that's obviously you, then you can't be suspected. But at the same time, I've also said, like, look, you're on a Netflix show. Make good television. Don't be strategic. Like, there's not really a level of strategy that's going to like guarantee you a win here. So just make a mark at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting with Nathan, because he didn't draw the one of Yu Ling that she assumes that he did. But because he can't point to a nice picture that he did, he also is still a suspect there. And so, but there was no way he was ever going to draw a nice picture. Let's be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you get what it, see, listen, I don't love these games in the first place. I feel like the producers are just cramming stuff in there to make the hour mark when it comes to these kinds of things. But if the game is anonymous, then I would take that opportunity to make it fun. You don't have to necessarily be super strategic like Taran said, but you can still make it fun. I do like the people that did go with it. Like, just come on, throw a curveball in there. It reminds me of on Big Brother when they're like, yeah, I cast a hanky, but I was bored. It's just that kind of thing. Like, I got bored, I ruined lunch, you know, like, come on. You got, again, it is a Netflix show. Like, you just got to provide some kind of entertainment. Like, it's not, you're not here to make BFFs. It's you are competing to win and make good TV at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know why I found myself enjoying the games that they made up themselves. Like when they did like 2 truths and a lie, or they did like the running thing. I was like, oh, just lie and say you got something. Like, they're not sending pics, but everybody was really into it and they participated like it was one of the official games. I feel like those are fun because it gives them a chance to be creative and kind of make what they want of it, and not like the Thanksgiving dinner and they're just talking around Thanksgiving dinner. Or what was the other one? It was the pay, they had to do the amount of steps, but they kept everything anonymous.
Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that. I mean, if I had not skimmed through it again just before, I had totally forgotten about it because it was so pointless. You know, it's like, here's your here's your distance, and here's the total team distance. Okay, that's meaningless.
This one to me was in my eyes proof of my theory that they intentionally create games to trip up catfish specifically. Like the baking one was specifically designed to catch out Carol. This one was specifically designed to screw over Alex. And wow, and being like, this is the best workout I've gotten in like a decade.
Well, also, like, keeping it anonymous, I get why, but also I don't get why they kept it anonymous, because everyone was just like, oh yeah, I forget, see, like, I don't like care about this game, so I don't even remember, but I don't remember who they were saying was the slowest one, but they were like, oh yeah, Nathan, this slow one couldn't have been Nathan. It was somebody else. They were like, oh yeah, like, you know, Nathan must have been this high one. I think it was like Yu Ling got the highest one or
she got like a mile.
Yeah, so it kind of flopped. I feel like a lot of their setups tend to flop.
Well, I think that, I mean, basically, if they communicate at all about who like, oh, I got the mile, by the way, then like you're pretty quickly able to suss out like who's who. And I think that they were able to figure that out too. Like, Frank was like, oh, I was the lowest, so Carol clearly was up with everybody else. I think that basically Alex did well enough that he was up there with most other people, like the average, that it made some sense. And also, like, those things are finicky. Like, sometimes they're not going to count it. Like, not to say that Yu Ling didn't completely dominate them, but like, there's a decent chance that like hers was functioning in a certain way that like gave her an advantage. You know what I mean? Because it was a pretty big outlier.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of the same thing for Carol, because, you know, John was walking around at a fairly slow pace, and then you had other people who literally had it in their hand shaking it, and it came out the same. And it's like, really?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry if this makes me like seem kind of old or something, but I literally was like, they're playing Wii Sports. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, they're playing Wii bowling. Get me in there. I'm signing up for the Circle. Like, if they're going to do that, they should make like a Wii Sports reality show on Netflix. I would sign up for that. That's what it reminded me of.
There you go.
Wii Sports can be dangerous. I had one kid hit the other one right in the face with, doing Wii bowling. So be careful out there.
Sign a waiver.
Yeah.
I mean, better hitting somebody in the face with one of the controllers than an actual bowling ball. Right?
That's true.
Oh
that is true.
Yeah. Probably a lot harder with the bowling ball.
Yes. Now, I do want to say too, before in case we're about to go past the painting, because we went, I did, when I watched the thing where they painted Nathan / Alex, half the blue check. And I thought, oh my gosh, how could he how could they know that? Did they see him during casting? Did they, whatever? And then I looked in my closet to prepare for this podcast, and I found this. And then I found this. And then I found this. And then I found this.
Oh boy.
That's a
And
lot
then
Oh my
I found that one. That's you can't tell. That's
If you couldn't tell,
So-
if you're an audio listener from the context, he just reeled out like a slew of blue checkered shirts.
Blue check shirts. Yes. So now I had forgotten I had these because I haven't worn a shirt with buttons on it, since the pandemic began. So I put this on and my wife was like, wow, you're dressing up for a podcast. So I just, obviously I'm a little bit older even than the 45 that they think that Nathan is, but I think a lot of people, a lot of guys that age probably have that blue check shirt. So at first it was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe not quite as amazing.
Yeah. I mean, another one to point out was Everson's of Yuling. That was frightening.
Ooh, yes.
It was like, oh, it changed the mood. It wasn't just like, ooh, burn. That was just like, it felt evil.
Yeah, she was like, my teeth don't even look like, wasn't her teeth that she said don't even look like that? It was terrifying.
Yes.
Like she said she had a nightmare. Okay, I actually laughed at that. Like it takes a lot for me to laugh when watching this show, I'm not gonna lie to you. But when she said, yeah, I had a nightmare about my drawing, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean that it makes me think like if I was on the show and I had to make a mean drawing of somebody, I think I would just try to draw them normally because I think I'm so bad at drawing that it would just come off as mean if I just tried to draw anybody at all. So I feel like that's the play. Because if I actually was trying to do something intentionally mean, it would get demonic like that. Probably. I think that's probably where it would end up going. So maybe that's what happened there with Everson.
Yes.
Oh.
And of course we also got Frank, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yes.
Yes, because he's nice.
Backstabber.
He's just nice.
I do have a question. I saw this on Twitter. I don't watch the international versions of the show, but I think was that drawing a callback to a previous UK contestants version?
I don't know if it was intentional, but it definitely reminded me of the Manrika snake, right?
Looked pretty. I mean, he got it really right. So I feel like it was. I love callbacks to old things like that, even though if I didn't watch it, I just think that's cool.
Yes. So I mean, let's talk about Frank because I love Frank.
Oh yeah.
I just like it's gotten to a point because he kind of like I mean, I liked him at first, but he's very like he's grown on me with every episode to the point where now every time I see him, I'm just like, yeah, it's Frank.
Yeah.
I love what he's saying.
Yeah, it's like Bruce said, he's a ray of sunshine. And the fact that translates through the circle just shows you how pleasant he is. Like the fact that can, I mean, I can be happy, right? And sometimes even if I send a text, it may not translate that way. But the way that Frank has just put his full self in the circle, and they can even see that without meeting him. They just have a picture. It's awesome. I mean, I literally have a smile on my face when Frank comes up on the screen because he's funny. I just love the way he talks. He's just like shocked by everything. I love his reactions to the virus. Like I'm trying to talk, like it's hilarious.
I think he might genuinely be up there in terms of reality contestants that have consistently like actually made me laugh out loud while watching an episode. Yeah. Like, and it, like not even like I'll be real. I'm not fully paying attention to the show at all times because like it's not one of those shows for me at this point. But I'm just doing my thing, maybe playing a little Dark Souls or something. And then Frank will say something and I'll be like, That was funny.
Yeah, I was going to say he's one of my favorites of the season. I feel like you need a Frank in every single reality TV show. It doesn't matter what show it is, doesn't matter the format. You need a Frank. I feel like he's just a comedic relief. I also love the segments where he opens up about his family and stuff that's that he's dealt with. He's dealt with a lot of stuff in his past. I think that's really touching. That's the only part of the I think there's a Thanksgiving game thing that I actually enjoyed. So I'm glad they included that.
Yeah, my thing is at watching him, it's so enjoyable. But every time I see him, I'm like, and there's no way he's going to win because everybody's going to know where he is, and they're going to, there'll be a few people who rate him at the top who don't rate strategically, but those who do are going to make sure he doesn't win.
It definitely, yeah. I mean, I think we can go into like some speculation about predictions for the finale at the end. But yeah, I'm definitely concerned for him in that sense. He's been at the top so many times that it's like anybody rating strategically is gonna know like it's too risky.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought until he got the top secret influencer. I'm like, how did he get number one?
Well, that because he still had those connect because they're not picking a winner at that point. They're picking the person that they like and that will think will keep them safe. And I think that they'll probably assume it was probably Frank that got the highest again. Well, it's one of those. It's like, yeah, it's secret, but at the same time, it's usually the same person that got it. But like, it's not like the super secret influencer is never somebody that was ranked like last in the previous ratings, right?
Yeah.
That like nobody will ever suspect me.
Right.
I can do whatever I want. It's usually a person like you were first last time, you were first the time before that, and now you're the super secret influencer because nobody will predict that you got first again.
Well, and in this particular case, also remember, they didn't even know they were picking an influencer. They just knew the last place person was getting automatically blocked. So I think the strategic minded people rank things differently as Alex did. You know, he ranked Brew below him rather than at the top where you would want him under normal circumstances. So I think no one was going to bother putting Frank low. They wanted to put the lower ranked people even lower. So Frank just naturally got to the top.
That's actually a good point because this final rating session is likely going to be the inverse of what we see for the finale. Because if you're rating for the bottom, then you're burning, Frank number one, because obviously he'll be high and I can't get him to the bottom. Next would probably be Yu Ling because she's not going to touch the bottom at this point. They've been so high. And then you just go in order of that. Like, who is the most likely person that I can get to the bottom of this list to ensure that they lose? And so if that's how you're ranking things in order to get a certain result for the bottom, you'll probably do roughly the opposite when you're ranking, you're trying to get somebody at the top. Well, this person is going to get lots of first places. I'm going to put them at the bottom, and so on and so forth. So, again, not the greatest sign in terms of that. But again, not everyone rates strategically, and that's where things really get a little random. So, who knows?
Yeah, I feel like last season was an extremely strategic vote in the finale. Unlike the first season, obviously, I feel like it was the least strategic vote. But I really do hope that they end up changing. I don't think it's going to happen because it's not just a U.S. This is not just a U.S. show. They're following other international formats, but I hope they change the format of the finale because I really do feel like it kind of breaks the game towards the end. It's like, okay, I watched all of this, I watched all these people, and then it's like, okay, well, that like the Frank's not going to win, and that's extremely disappointing. And then it's like, okay, well, how do you win? It's like, okay, well, you got to stay a little bit in the middle, be like extremely strategic, and it's like, well, does Netflix even want that in their shows? Because I feel like I said in the beginning, Netflix is a Netflix reality show. It's a little bit more cartoony. It's not like a Big Brother Survivor kind of thing.
Because Big Brother's never cartoony.
I was literally just going to say, maybe a little bit lately, but it's gearing towards that. But yeah, I do think that I do hope that they change it and tweak it in some way. They have tweaked a lot of the rankings and the influencer votes, which I do appreciate a lot, by the way. That's probably my favorite part of the season is how they've done like a safety chain moment. They've done, the super influencer. I really do enjoy that as far as format goes. But yeah, I just hope they tweak the finale.
Yeah, I feel like I may have said this last season. If not, I just thought it. But it would be good if they could figure out a way to not tell the players it was the final ranking. So just say, "Up, time for another ranking," and not tell them it's the final one. Not always make the last ranking the same number of people, so you can throw off future seasons, and then people will just rank, and then they'll say, "Oh, thanks, you just ranked for a winner," and they're like, "Ah."
Yeah, but then I think you just get you get similar rankings usually, right? Like if they did that this season, it would be like, all right, Frank, isn't like it wouldn't be that surprising at the finale.
That's true. Frank wins. Okay.
Yeah, I think there are other options for them. Like and I think it can also like I think doing something different every season, like doing that once would be good. And then I feel like they should do like the Circle game, like the movie, the Circle, where like okay, remaining players just like you just vote each other out one by one, like 3, 2, 1 vote. Like that kind of thing would be kind of fun. I feel like there are plenty of options for maybe a safety chain to like get to the winner, or like an elimination chain of some sort. Like okay, block somebody, then that person chooses somebody else to be blocked, and the final person chooses the winner. Essentially, like I think there are all kinds of like different. Because the way that it ends right now is so random anyway, that you've opened the door for all kinds of tangential like methods of accomplishing this goal, and I think that there are really exciting and random ways to do this that will again be equally random, but at least a little bit of a change of pace.
Yeah, Megan in the chat just said, what if they just average out the season rankings at the end? So even though I think that's a great idea, because if they knew that at the beginning of the season, like at the end of the season, the average top ranked person will be the winner, then we could see some fluctuation throughout the season. Obviously, they wouldn't just spur the moment, do it at the end, because then it's like, hey, Frank. But then if they were to know that at the beginning, then we'll see such a change throughout the rankings throughout the season.
I like that too. I think it's again though one where it's like the audience then knows who's winning, like heading into the finals, right? So you'd have to make the climax essentially be like, who's going to be at the end between like the two people who are at the top, because then it won't take that much to sort of like do the math and determine who's going to be winning, right?
Unless you don't show everybody, you just show who the influencers are. And that's it. Or you show who's the bottom and the top, something like that. Leave the middle murky.
Yeah, and you could you could change up sort of like how the eliminations work as well. Because again, like I think the format is so fluid anyway. Just mess around with it. Like this isn't like Big Brother where it's like the format is great and it leads to great things and people are here for the format. So don't screw with it. And then when they do, it's like, what are you doing? This is a formatless show. Let's be real. There's no set strategy. There's no sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The formula left by itself would probably get really stale really fast. So why not just throw everything against the wall and see what sticks?
Yeah, you know what they should do? They should rebrand as we are an ambiguous reality show, and we're gonna do this season, and we're gonna do all these things. I think that would be cool. Listen, that's what I'm saying by I like how they switched up the voting and the eliminations and stuff. I think they just need to lean more into that, and then I feel like they'd have a really good sweet spot for where their show can go for future seasons, I guess. I do know that they've already filmed the next season, so maybe they've done stuff there, but hopefully in the future seasons they can just keep going forward with tweaking it every so often as they go.
Yeah, I think the core of it is always just there's a bunch of people living in rooms by themselves, communicating via text only, and some of them are catfish. And I think that's fine. And then just like anything else is fair game. I don't think we have to be ranking and rating every time. All kinds of different ways that we can do this. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I was talking to some friends yesterday about how can they incentivize people to figure out the catfish, because right now it doesn't matter, right? But then it's like, okay, if they give a higher reward to people who are catfish that win, then it's like, okay, everybody would want to be a catfish. So it's like, what do they do to to make it matter if you are a catfish or not.
Well, you could have it both ways. If you're a catfish and you win, you get more money. But if the group knocks out a catfish, that some portion of that money goes into the pot for whoever non-catfish wins.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too. Granted, like, you know, I feel like the catfish hunting is not always the most interesting, but usually it's not interesting because it doesn't matter.
Right.
And so if it matters, I feel like it becomes a little more interesting. I think that in terms of like the catfish that they have on the show, it's probably like 1 in 4 catfish are actually good at catfishing.
Yeah.
And so like the other, like the 3 out of 4 that are terrible, like everybody just immediately finds them out, and it's just like, that's not very fun. So I feel like it's important to pick people that are actually good at it, and maybe also they'd need to like lay back a little bit on the challenges that will out them if they really wanted to lean into that. But either way, lots of ideas for you, Circle podcast listeners that are producers of the show for sure. There you go.
I did like what they did with, and I wonder, because I haven't seen any of the international seasons either. Have they done the way that Carol was blocked? Have they done that before, where they just save everybody and only have 2 options?
Oh, I think they have done something like that before, where you choose to save. And I don't know if they've done it exactly that way with that number, where each one saves 2 and then it leaves 2. I thought too, like they were like, oh, and then Yuling and Frank are sorry.
We've got him all choked up thinking about Carol leaving. You know, he
He's
couldn't
like,
handle it anymore. He was so
yeah.
upset for Mama Carol that he poor Taran.
Aren't we all?
Poor Taran. Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I keep forgetting I'm on mute.
Yeah.
So many issues, guys. So many issues today.
Go for it.
Right.
All right. So,
Yes.
okay, I'm taking over for the hosting spot, guys. This is the worst podcast ever now that I'm the host. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I do. Listen, I do think that, like I said, wait, I already said my thought. Aysha, you go.
What? Well, okay. Did you like that format of them saving and then only saving who they wanted and then leaving 2 people to pick from? Did
I like it?
Yes.
Definitely. Oh yeah. And I also like them meeting in person too, because listen, I also feel like they were kind of realizing the catfish stuff was getting a little bit boring when it comes to like entertainment wise for us. So I feel like they were trying to squeeze as much out of them as possible. They're like, okay, let's just like throw him in a room with meeting somebody. And I get that it was Everson, so it was like somebody who didn't know him as long. It would have been a little bit more interesting if it was like an OG player who came in with him. But yeah, I do think that I like that. Both things.
Yeah. At first, when they were doing that, where they were like, oh, each of you name someone who's safe, my thought was, it doesn't matter. They're the influencers. If they were keeping people safe, they were going to keep them safe anyway. But they had to do it publicly. And so that was the part to me that was a little bit more interesting was, oh, okay, this discussion is not taking place behind closed doors. It's right out there who is saving who.
Yeah, I thought too that like the remaining 2 would then might be voted on by the rest of the players, right? Like instead of the influencers choosing between the final 2, have the players just vote.
Which I still think would have been the same outcome.
I think so too. I thought it was fun though, because we definitely haven't seen like the 2 people, because there's usually not even just 2 people like just meeting each other before the results. I thought that was really fun, especially because Mama Carol was there.
Yeah, would have been good if it were Brew and Mama Carol. That would have been the best.
Would have been fun and very awkward when the results are revealed.
Yeah,
and Everson's like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like their final pleas, especially with John as Carol. He's like, okay, I'm not Carol anymore. I'm John. And everyone really liked it. They're like, well, that seemed genuine. It's like, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Finally. I wonder why.
I mean, final pleas are something that I had thought about before. Like, they don't even get a chance to argue their case when they're, they have to set it up all ahead of time. So I was glad to see that as well for that reason.
Yeah. I think that was fun to let them make a plea like that. I think I mentioned that for the safety chain. I thought it would have been fun to like add pleas, but that was good. And then Carol leaves, and then the next one is at this point, this is when I think the biggest thing to talk about left is the betrayal of Nathan. That's at 2, Nathan, which I really didn't think was going to work. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think Brew would be last. I thought it was a misplay. I thought that I felt like he should have gone for Everson. I obviously, Everson and Ivani both they leapfrogged both Brew and Nathan, but I still felt like Brew's gotten back in enough with them. And it didn't feel like, it felt like Frank had come back around on Brew, and people were starting to be suspicious of Nathan because of the 45-year-old thing. And I was like, I don't think this is gonna work. I think he was too transparent when he ratted Brew out, and but it did. It worked.
Yeah, Rachel must have rated Brew last, and then because I was shocked actually. I did not expect it to be Brew. And then, I mean, just because I felt like Brew was doing a good job of like trying to get in with certain people. Like, it may have seemed random to do a group chat with Imani and Everson and realize he was a third wheel at that point. But I felt like Brew was trying to be social enough so that he, middle ground. Maybe he wasn't the most liked because of things in the past of people he was close to, but I didn't think last. So it was like that really worked in Nathan's favor, voting him last, because I mean, even who was it? I think Everson placed him second. So I was like, oh, Brew might be okay.
Yeah, that was the thing. The fact that some of the new players rated Brew high, I was like, well, there's no way he gets last. But he did. And I was very surprised. This is definitely one of those spots where, like, if they had cliffhangered this, I would have come back to like, oh, it was Brew.
Yeah.
Whereas watching in the moment, I was like, what was Brew? And then of course, this was, whether or not there's influence in these decisions. Very happy that Brew decides to go see Nathan. That was very necessary in my eyes. And Alex has a lot of things he needs to tell Brew. I did rate you last. Sorry about that. And Brew's like, oh, I hate you. Joking.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised he picked him. I thought he was going to for sure go see Yu Ling and be like, well, what happened? Like, you're my number one ally kind of thing. But yeah, I was very excited about that. Also, Alex looked extremely nervous about it, which makes it even more entertaining. Sorry, but I just think that, I don't know, I just feel like that was probably one of my favorite meetings, I guess you could say, thus far, because it actually had some level of content for us, and it wasn't just like, oh my God, Brew's cute, and that was really it. Sorry, Alyssa.
Right.
Yeah. And then he's like, I've also got some more bad news for you. I also ratted you out to Frank. It's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, sorry, it was strategic. Like, screw you, dude.
They were on two very different pages. Brew is here just trying to make connections, be liked. And Alex is like, look, this is a game of strategy, and that's what I'm going to do. So the fact that these two people are meeting, it's just like, it's blowing Brew's mind that was Alex's approach to the game. But it's like, he can respect it, but then he's on the receiving end of it. He's just like, dang, okay, I hate you, but I'm joking, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It's one thing to like rate me last because we were the bottom last time, and the person last this time gets booted. It's another thing to have ratted me out the night before you knew that was even going to happen. This was not just a spur like, oh, got to throw him on it because I have to. This was like you made this decision. You didn't even know it was going to be the last person who was going to be booted. You just wanted to get in with the popular people.
Hey, he said, I have no problem stepping on anyone to get further in this game.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's what I mean by like they gotta rebrand to make this show ambiguous, like an ambiguous reality show, because people like Brew are here for one reason, and people like Alex/Nathan are here for another reason. And it's funny because the first thing I was listening to the previous podcast too, I think you guys touched on it. I feel like they cast Brew, okay, like the generic straight white guy, whatever. But I also feel like they thought they were getting a Nick, maybe a more entertaining Nick. And that is very clearly not what we got. So I just find it very interesting, the way that they cast the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's in some ways like early Survivor, where you had some people coming in like, I am going to play, and some being there and being like, I want to create a new society. I want to enjoy the spiritual awakening of the island, and then didn't understand why they were voted off right away, So, yeah. But the thing about the Circle is that the people who are strategic don't necessarily have any better chance of winning. So it's different ways to play, and it's still half random at the end.
Yeah. So it's not over yet, though. The super secret influencer has to make a decision, and they go one by one in terms of like who's safe. And I think no surprises in terms of who's locked in for the finale. The eventual choice is going to come down to Nathan and Everson. Who do we think he blocked?
Nathan.
Yeah. I don't see, if I'm getting into his head, I was like, okay, let me try to put myself into his shoes. But I just couldn't see a reason why he would keep Nathan over Everson. I don't know if you guys want to fill the blanks for me, but I feel like Nathan's getting blocked.
I think a good decision for him would be to block Nathan, obviously, because Nathan would definitely vote Frank last, or rank him last, or rate him last, whatever. But the fact that Frank was like, I need to get out somebody who is well liked and who could, be in that spot, in the top spot in the final rankings, I'm nervous because he knows that Everson is very well liked. And so I don't know if Frank is thinking like, okay, let me get out the person that is also just a ray of sunshine here in the circle, or do I get out the person who I think could potentially be a catfish? I don't know if they would rank me high. So I really don't know which way it could go. I think it's literally 50-50 in my mind.
I mean,
my question is though, is Frank thinking strategically though, or is he voting with his heart?
Well, so that was my thing. So there were two things that I was thinking about in terms of what Frank said or has said. One is, I was talking about like, getting out somebody that could win. And I think that in terms of the choice between Everson and Nathan, I do think that Everson is the biggest threat in that regard in terms of what Frank is thinking. Also, he doesn't have to publicly nobody has to know that this was him, even though people might suspect it was him. He doesn't, like, there's a level of heat that he's not going to get for not blocking the less popular person. I think he just had this conversation with Rachel and Yuling about how Nathan is shady, which you might think means, oh, well, that means he would block Nathan. But in Frank's head, he might think, well, obviously they're not going to rate him very high now, knowing that this is going into the finals. And then also, and this might have meant nothing, but when Brew was blocked, Frank was like, oh, another OG leaving. And so he may feel like not that Nathan was an OG, but certainly more so than Everson at this point. He may feel like some amount of loyalty to the OGs, plus he's easier to beat. Plus, nobody will have to know that he didn't block Nathan. And he's already saved Everson once. He's already made good on the the safety chain safety thing. So I do feel like there's a possibility here that he ends up blocking Everson.
Yeah, I just think I think what's going to happen, he's going to block Nathan, and then he's going to own up to having been the super secret influencer, secret super influencer, whatever. He's going to come up and say, yeah, I did it for the good of the group. I felt that, that Everson had the best energy and we weren't sure about Nathan. And so that's, my prediction.
Yeah. Who knows? I think if he is purely playing heart and no strategy, then I think he blocks Nathan. I think if he is thinking at least a little bit strategy, then he might block Everson, because again, it's also like Nathan came to him with the brew information, and so that and not anybody else, so he may think like Nathan is my ace in the hole, and that nobody else will rate high, but he might rate me high, which would be a mistake. And I think that if he's thinking very strategically, like very, very strategically, then he would then go back to blocking Nathan, because you can't trust Nathan to be your ace in the hole. And he is actually more dangerous probably than Everson in that final vote, because people don't like him very much. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Who do we
and
think
then we're
is
going to be like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Who do we think has the best chance of winning it here? Who do we have for winner picks?
Well, it's interesting. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's interesting because there's one person who I don't know that we've even uttered her name, Rachel. And
that's my pick.
Yeah. And I'm looking at things going, I would normally pick someone who falls squarely in the middle. She seems to have some good relationships, and those relationships seem to be with very different people.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't, she's not seen as the most popular. She's not seen as the least popular. I could see Rachel winning the whole thing.
Yeah, if I had to put money on it, I would, if I could put money on two people, I would say Rachel or Imani. I see them in very similar. I could see some people thinking like, okay, Rachel has been the middle ground, but she could come up on top. So let me put her as one of the bottom rankings. But I don't know if they would feel that way about Imani. So I feel like Rachel and Imani could be top two.
Yeah. I think it could come down to what happens with this blocking. I think if Everson is there, I think Imani wins, or could very easily take the win. If Nathan is there, I think it gets a little trickier. And Nathan honestly might also put Imani at the top, not knowing how connected Imani is. So it's a tricky one.
Yeah, I think that Rachel's position in the game has been a very, very good one throughout the entire season. And it's because everybody's been calling her their number one. Rachel's my number one, but it's not in the sense of like where it reminds me of last year, people clocked Nick as the most strategic player, the best player. So like, we're going to rank him last. I don't think that she's going to get ranked last in the finale either. I think that she is staying pretty middle ground, or not even middle ground, but I still think that let me rephrase. I think that they're still going to vote her or rank her high even in the finale, because people like her enough to do that, but they don't think that she's threatening or strategic enough to vote her extremely low. So I think that she could come out on top because of that. And I totally agree about Iman. I think we're all on the same page about that. So, but I really do think if I had to put money, it'd be Rachel.
I mean, yeah. Is there a circle winner edit? I'm trying to think, like, has she been shown enough to be the winner, or do they not care about that? They just show whoever's entertaining, and whoever wins.
I think there's a minor winner. I don't think that it's as big as the Survivor one for sure. I think that you don't usually get a winner that's like completely out of the blue. I don't know that there's anybody here. Maybe if Everson won, I'd be surprised based on the edit. I think we've seen enough of Imani for Imani to pull out the win, and then pretty much everyone else, I feel like we've seen a lot from. So I wouldn't be super surprised about any of them. But yeah, it's tough. Like I feel like because I feel like Nathan probably final ratings would be something like maybe even it is Imani first, then like Rachel, Yuling, Frank, something like that. If he's trying to go strategic, and then Everson would probably go. I feel like Everson's not the most strategic player. I feel like he'd probably go like Imani first, then I don't know what his other relationships are. Frank, Rachel, or Rachel, Frank, Yuling, or something like that. And then Rachel, I think Rachel's a strategic player. But I also think Rachel and Yuling are both. I think Rachel and Yuling are both strategic and like heart players. And I think that those players tend to go, okay, I'm going to be strategic within my circle, but I'm still putting the people outside of my circle last. So I think they would probably do something like Yuling would maybe go Rachel, Frank, Nathan, Imani, or Imani, Nathan, or Everson, whichever. And I think Rachel might do something like, Yuling, Frank, depending on who she thinks is a bigger target or a bigger threat. And then the other two. Like essentially putting the person they think will win in second place and then their other person in first place strategically within the people they care about. And then Frank, I think, would also probably do something similar to that, or he might just go straight heart and just go like, I guess Rachel, then so yeah, I think Rachel is a great shot.
Yeah. The two people I think have no chance of winning would be Frank and Yuling. Yeah.
It seems that way. And then I would throw Everson in there just from edit alone. We could be shocked. Which would leave theoretically Nathan, Rachel, and Imani. And yeah, I think between the I can see Rachel as the front runner, Imani is kind of the dark horse, and then Nathan is kind of the wild card.
If he makes it.
Exactly. Well, that's why he's a wild card.
Yeah. Yeah, when they showed the preview for the finale, immediately I saw Alex in his nice clothes walking down. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they blew it. And then I realized they also showed Everson. So I was like, oh, they had everyone dress up.
Yeah, I really try not to pay attention because I apparently it spoiled that Alyssa stayed. It was just so funny because both of the people I podcasted with last week knew that I was dead wrong, and I was like, well, obviously he kept Alyssa, and they were like, well, we did see what happened. I was like, well, don't tell me. All right. Anything else that we should bring up?
The family visits the family videos were nice. I mean, I know it's only been a couple of weeks for as Brew explained, but it was sweet to see Delisa, miss her. How often do we see, old Circle players on another season? So that was cool. I think it'd be cool if they do like a Circle Kids edition and, their oldest child makes an appearance. That'd be cool. We could the Circle can just fund this family's lifestyle. That would be fair.
Yeah, I liked seeing Yuling's family and hearing her talk about how much the money would mean to her and to them. Was really sweet, and seeing Frank's friends, which just as we've gotten to know Frank makes so much sense. That he has the best friends. So that was really cool. I did like the family visit for sure.
I was gonna say that Yuling's I think it was her mother who said, correct me if I'm wrong, but her mother did say that she was proud of her. And I think that was very touching because I do know in the beginning of the season, she would talk about that kind of thing. And they even made jokes to her saying, oh yeah, your mother will never be proud of you or whatever. And she took that like a champ, by the way. That's a very deep cut. I would get upset about that. I mean, granted, this is highly edited. It's not like a Big Brother live feed, so I don't know how she really took it, but that was touching.
Yeah, and then Brew's dad called him Brew. He's like,
yes,
my dad never calls me Brew. That's
what do you say? They know you as Brew, but we know you as
Josh.
Josh, yeah.
Yeah, his name is Josh Brubaker.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
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 I
Well,
get it.
Lovina, how
Yeah.
was it seeing your friend on the video?
Yeah, I mean that's really Nikki's the best. She, like I said, I thought she was going to be part of the season. He was going to be catfishing as her, and then I was like, wait, what the heck? No, I was kind of disappointed about it. But yeah, it was really cool. I mean, like I said, I can't say enough good things about her. 2020 was a rough year, and playing in that community of games wasn't the best for a lot of people's mental health. And I do remember her checking up on me multiple times. And that was my very first impression of her. So I think that that's awesome. And Alex, same thing. I would say the same thing about him. Just two really solid people. And like I said, I was going to remain objective, but I am still rooting for him just to be there at the finale.
I mean, I'm rooting for him too. You got to root for the game bot, right? So even if it's such a, he's being shown as such a cliche game bot, but still, it's fun.
We'll take it.
Yeah, everything on, like you said, everything on a Netflix reality show is extreme. You can't be a partial game bot. You've got to go all the way.
Well, what's interesting is that we've never seen a game bot win the circle.
Right.
So it would certainly be a first. So I mean, there have been not to say there haven't been strategic players, but
right.
In terms of people who are just purely yeah, I'll screw over anybody, I don't care. We don't really see those people win the circle, which it would be interesting if it continued to be a trend, and would probably just be random if it didn't. So. All right. Anything else from the 4 episodes here?
No,
all right.
No, I don't think so. Hold on. I'll have to. Should I check
pull out
my
another
board?
shirt, another board? Yeah.
My board again.
Another shirt.
Where I have to move the string to? Yeah. No more shirts.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out with us this week for the Circle Talk. We'll be back next week with the finale coverage of the Circle. We'll talk about who won and how it happened. It'll be we'll have the Circle finale, Survivor finales also next week. So it's all coming to a close. So make sure you check it out. You can also, of course, find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, hanging out, watching things, talking to people, and find me over on Twitter as well. Twitter at Armstrong Taran over there on Twitter. Check out the Survivor coverage, the Big Brother stuff. Still lots of postseason interviews coming. So check all of that out. And that's what I got. David, what are you up to?
Well, as soon as we're done here, I will be recording Why Blank Lost with Jessica. So that should be in your podcast stream shortly after that. And of course, you can follow me at David Bloomberg on Twitter, at David_Bloomberg on TikTok for all your Survivor TikTok needs.
There you go. Follow Brew and David at the same time.
That's right.
Aysha, what do you got going on?
So Married at First Sight is also coming to a close next week, just like everything else. And so Jason Reed and I are talking about season 14 of Married at First Sight. So we're going to be talking about part 2 of the reunion. Part 1 dropped today. So definitely go check that out on the Love at First Sight feed, where you can also find my coverage with Mary Kukowski about Love is Blind and The Ultimatum.
All right. And Lovina.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at LPavs with 2 S's. I'm just getting excited for we're talking some sports, sometimes with Grace. That's what primarily my tweets are about, and then about Big Brother as well. So you can expect that. We're definitely gearing up for Big Brother 24. I'm getting super excited. I'm celebrating I did something very bad last night, you guys. I randomly went through Paramount Plus, and I was like, I'm going to watch some random finales of random seasons. Unfortunately, I chose 19. I know it's taboo to rewatch anything about Big Brother 19, but that finale was so iconic. I was like, oh my God, I have to watch it a second time. So that's how I'm preparing. Very excited.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.